Well, I couldn't predict how successful that video was going to be. Like, we got thousands of views, over 100 comments. I've not had anything like this since the Not Startaze video, which was like the first official video this channel made. So it seemed reasonable to talk more about the Transformers. Specifically my first entry to the series, the 2007 movie. Directed by Michael Bay, who went on to make 4 more of these. The movies are massive blockbusters, grossing tons of money, though a decline would ensue after the 3rd movie. Maybe 4th? I never checked, hang on. Oh no, it was after the 4th movie. The production of Transformers is certainly a divisive one. Originally Hasbro wanted to make a G.I. Joe movie, but the timing was rather poor given the world events at the time. So instead Hasbro gave Michael Bay a series of movies to be as patriotic and incredibly distasteful for the times. Obviously as a kid I wouldn't get most of the human stuff going on, though on rewatch I'm actually astounded that they got away with some of the things they put in these movies. But not to mention, this film drags a lot more than I remember. I can see why, given the humans are 90% of this movie. But enough political crap, we have a toy commercial to watch. Alright, so the film takes an interesting approach to telling the story. There are 3 stories in play that lead up to the 3rd act. The first story is the Lennox story, focusing on the Decepticon attack on the Qatar base. The second is the largest plot, which focuses on Sam and the Autobots. You know, the one that people expect in a film called Transformers. Finally, we have the Analyst storyline, which is the smaller of the plots, but serves to show off America's response and the global tension caused by the Qatar base attack. Gotta say, the Decepticons managed to do Secret Invasion infinitely better and somehow more interesting. Like, this show fucking sucks, get on this masterpieces level. Left cheek! Left cheek! Left cheek! This one is straightforward. You know, it's a typical day in Qatar 2007 until a mysterious helicopter arrives. There's a lot of commotion about this helicopter, there's some information that this should have been shot down like months ago. But then this happens. God, I love this design. So he goes on a complete rampage, kicking off this action movie with a solid start. Not only that, but this guy tries to dig into some secret files. Lennox and his squad only just manage to escape, though later get pursued by Blackout's pet, Scorponok. I'm fully aware that the original version of Scorponok is this thing, but I'm not a G1 purist, so touch grass. The squad eventually ends up being tracked down, and this ends in a massive firefight in a desert village. During this fight, Lennox was able to use this mobile device to contact the American military, or was it the government? I don't know if you're able to do this normally in real life, but somebody can tell me. It be the government! Either way, they send in some jets to light Scorponok up. After Scorponok runs away, this is where Lennox's story comes to a close until the 3rd act. For those who never bothered to remember this character's name, it's Maggie. I just watched the film and I forgot, I literally had to look it up. Anyway, following the attack on the Qatar base, the Americans go into panic mode. We have no idea what attacked them, they start pointing fingers at other countries under the belief it's a super weapon. When Blackout hacked into the database on his assault, however, it left a clue in the form of this sound. This is where the analysts come in and try and decode what happened, with Maggie being the focus of the story here. As soon as the analysts are at work, another attack on Air Force One by Frenzy happens, bypassing all the security instantly, as it too starts to go after the files. Maggie spots this, and this forces the Americans to completely shut down their defense network. Frenzy somehow fucking escapes. There are multiple instances where this guy should have been spotted. It's also said that a virus has been implemented into their system, with Maggie suggesting it's some kind of bioweapon virus thing. That actually sounds kinda stupid. With no one listening to her theories, Maggie then believes she can somehow solve it in this random dude's house. He's like a master at breaking codes or something. Obviously the government isn't stupid and immediately apprehends her and Glenn, basically ending her story until the 3rd act. This is the longest of the three and it fucking feels like it. A lot of this story is just Shia LaBeouf bumbling around and having really awkward teen crap involved. So Sam is a teen with a grandfather who travelled to the Arctic Circle. Naturally he has some of his older belongings which he tries to pawn off in his report. With the money and an A+ that he basically got by begging, Sam gets a new car from this Bobby Bolivia guy, which happens to also be the only car available. I like the idea that Sam and his dad still bought it despite what looks like a terror attack took place at Bobby's. With his new yellow Camaro, Sam travels to the lake to get some important business done.
We're here to climb this tree.
Teen crap ensues as Michaela is now free for Sam to swoop in and offer a ride home.
Listen, I was wondering if I could ride you home.
Stop talking!
There's some hints towards Michaela being more than just a pretty face, as she knows her way around cars. More stuff happens until later on when Sam's car is believed to have been stolen. Ending up in some abandoned compound looking place, it's revealed that the car is a transformer.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock!
Sam ends up getting arrested, and while bailed out and returning home, the car is seemingly following him. For whatever reason, Sam decides to leave the safety of his house on some pink bike and ends up running into Michaela at the local Burger King. Product placement is a common thing in these movies, though this film is the least egregious about it. What do you expect when it's also a Transformers movie? These guys themselves are product placement. Anyway, Sam ends up being followed by the police, only for it to turn out to be the same police car from the Maggie plot when Air Force One was forced to land. That yellow car turns up again along with Michaela because for some reason she decided to follow the crazy guy into the middle of nowhere. Epic car chase ensues and eventually we see the yellow car transform and get into a fight. Well, kind of. The fight cuts off because they decided that having Sam running around in terror would be more entertaining. Bumblebee returns, though speaks through his radio. They drive off, Bumblebee upgrades himself and the rest of the Autobots come to Earth. It's a good scene, with the iconic arrival to Earth playing in the score. And finally, we see the Autobots together, with Peter Cullen back in the voice role of Optimus Prime. So yeah, the real plot of the movie rears in, with the Allspark being on Earth and the Autobots and Decepticons coming to claim it. The location of which is stored on the glasses of Sam's grandfather. Long ass scene of awkwardness and some okay jokes, but only because they involve the Transformers.
Stingly. Yeah, that looks fun.
Were you masturbating?
This is exactly what I expect in a movie about robots turning into cars. Eventually Sector 7 shows up, having been mentioned a few times in the side plots. This prompts a response from the Autobots to actually do something. After saving the human protagonists, they start running as, you know,
We don't harm humans.
Despite this, Optimus decides to run around the town instead of transforming. Dude wanted to stretch his legs and cause as much harm as possible. This ends up backfiring as Bumblebee has to jump in and save the falling couple and ends up getting surrounded. With Sam and Bumblebee captured, the three plots now begin to join. The Secretary of Defense essentially goes all out Avengers Assemble, gathering Lennox and his team, while also bringing in Maggie and Glenn, as her theory about the virus being a bioweapon is correct following the intel gained from Sector 7. So everyone is rounded up at Hoover Dam, where Sector 7 explains the global crisis that could have set the world on fire was in fact due to the Decepticons. And that Megatron, who was recovered in the Arctic, is also present at Hoover Dam along with the Allspark. However, the Decepticons are also aware of this, and the Autobots are only just learning of its location as well. A lot of stuff starts happening, with the humans agreeing to free Bumblebee, while also coming up with a plan to keep the Allspark safe. Though the Decepticons in this movie are not incompetent, so they've already begun knocking out power to the dam. So they choose to hide the Allspark in what looks to be a highly populated city. That definitely won't get thousands killed. I probably sound like I'm skipping a lot of details, but realistically it's because the film has so much human filler, and the action scenes fill in more gaps as well. Not to mention, we came here for the Transformers, so realistically I just want to bring up the bits that people care about. But yeah, we're heading to the third act of the film now. Frenzy briefly shows up in a solid shootout with the Secretary of Defense bearing his Second Amendment. There's an awesome highway chase featuring Optimus and Bone Crusher going at it. Sure, some complain that this is brutal, but robots fighting each other is just really cool. Of course, we get the big city battle with Lennox and the Autobots battling the Decepticons. Like, this stuff is really well done for 2007. Marvel is struggling with something like this poor-ended head, meanwhile the entire battle in Mission City is looking perfect. Michael Bay may be a shit storyteller, but the man knows how to make an action movie. I can honestly see why I always skip to the battle scenes on the chapter select of the DVD. Man, who remembers DVDs? The entire third act is just a joy, really, and the film closes off with this iconic shot.
I am going to turn into a truck now. Autobots, it's transforming time.
Honestly, the CGI and special effects have held up really well. Plus, did you know that this scene with Optimus and Megatron is a practical effect? The film nails action and is a nice change considering the other movies I've reviewed that are action heavy. I genuinely don't know how this man is allowed to make films. The Transformers themselves have designs that help them stand out, though I feel sorry for the toy designers. It's an action blockbuster from Michael Bay, so you get what you get. It's an action blockbuster from Michael Bay. It has been a long time since I watched this movie, but damn, it felt overly long and too focused on the humans. A lot of the jokes are not good either. And I'm not talking about jokes that are funny, I'm talking more about jokes that are pretty offensive. Some actors play their role well, but some do not. Also, despite the gorgeous design, sounds and action from the Transformers, they don't nearly have as much screen time as I would like. And I guess for the fans of the G1 series, it doesn't really adapt anything that series had. But that's going to conclude the video. It's certainly been an interesting start to 2025, and it seemed fitting to follow the previous video with a Transformers review. Maybe at some point we'll cover the other movies, it just really depends on what I feel like, really. If you want to stay tuned for any more videos, be sure to subscribe, and you can also find more of my videos in the playlist on screen. Until all are one, my friends.